So welcome back. This is part two, and this is where we look at the week ahead. So this week we do have some central bankers speaking before they go into their silent period, and they're trying to get that out of the way. They seem to still have these mixed views on inflation and rates. Obviously it depends a little bit on which country they're representing. Now, in the US this week, we've got the WASDE report coming out. Now, that's a commodity-based report, and it's looking at the demand outlook. If you're trading anything, oil or any commodities, then it's definitely worth making a note of that. And then we have inflation data, CPI and PPI coming out, and the Fed will be keen to see that, as that's going to be their last real data before their next FOMC meeting in a couple of weeks. And of course, that's on the 20th, by the way. Now, inflation sort of may have risen slightly over the last few weeks, and that's going to be from higher gasoline prices, potentially airfares, even sort of medical. Now, shelter seems to have topped out for the moment, but it's not really dropping because there is a shortage of housing available. Retail sales are coming out, and that's going to show consumer demand. So are they still spending in the high streets? Jobless claims as every Thursday. So, I prefer to look at the initial jobless claims, so the new people that are claiming. Business inventories is out, Empire State Manufacturing is out, industrial production, capacity utilization, so all of them are around manufacturing. And with the capacity utilization, just remember, above 80 is growth or expansion. 80 to 84 is where you'd really like to see that maintained. And Michigan consumer sentiment's coming out. And you've got to appreciate this sort of type, even though it's sort of a consensus, it's surveys and all that. We as consumers, we account for 60 to 70% of an economy. So what we do and what we think is really important. Now, in the EU, there's not much data out. We've got ZEW and industrial production, but all eyes will be on the first ECB meeting since the summer recess. Will they or won't they put rates up again? In Germany, there's only ZEW. In the UK, we've got a bit of data coming out, employment data, with the average earnings, which will be closely watched by the BOE ahead of their meeting. Wages are currently showing about 8.2% growth. So they'll be interested to see if that's still up there or whether it's starting to drop, because obviously that is inflationary. The unemployment rate is creeping up. It's now around 4.3%, so keep an eye on that as well. There is also some manufacturing data and consumer inflation expectations. Then we move on to China, house price index. Obviously housing's been a major problem for them. Industrial production and retail sales. Then in Japan, PPI and capacity utilization. Australia's got their unemployment data coming out, and that's around 3.6% at the moment, and also there's business confidence being released. And finally, for New Zealand, their food price index. So that sort of looks heavily at next week. I suppose the highlight is going to be the inflation data in the US, and if you're looking at European stuff, then it's going to be the ECB meeting. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the macro outlook.